Motorcycle racing is a young man's sport. It takes strength, conditioning, and a bucket full of bravery to compete at the highest levels of two-wheeled competition. Most retire just as the rest of us are settling into our more traditional careers. Most, not all. At the age of 43, Jeff Ward is the defending champion of the AMA Supermoto Series, his 8th career AMA championship. The Hall of Fame rider gets ready next to defend his latest championship against riders that, to be honest with you, could be his own sons. It's Supermoto, next on the Outdoor Life Network. Welcome, everyone, to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the first stop of 6 of the AMA Supermoto Championships. It looks like it's going to be a wet racing day, but the forecast has it clearing up a little bit later. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, Rebecca Staub in the pits. But, David, we look at this schedule for today. We're starting off with our Supermoto race number 1, but we also have some Supermoto Lights, some Supermoto Unlimited to get into, but they changed the format now. You actually have 2 full races in one Supermoto here in the 450 class.
And it looks like they're going to shave off 2 laps for the first main event just because of the weather. And the weather kind of looks like it's going to lift, but really difficult after all the testing and stuff that they've done. Now the weather is playing a role in this thing, and it's kind of difficult to decide what kind of tires and stuff they're going to choose.
Last year's Supermoto champion Jeff Ward, he's 43 years old. You know, you would think he'd be retiring by now, but that's not the case.
At some point I'm going to start getting tired, or if I get hurt, the injury might not heal well. But right now I feel good out there. I don't get tired. And I don't lose a race because I feel like I physically let somebody beat me. So I'm feeling pretty good about running a few more years.
But missing one of his teammates on the Troy Lee designed Team Honda, this year Doug Henry made the switch. Rebecca Staub has more.
Last year, Honda riders Doug Henry and Jeff Ward dominated Supermoto. Henry won 4 times. Jeff took 3 wins and the championship. Well, they're both back this year, except Doug Henry's down at Yamaha. Here you are in front of Yamaha. Why the switch?
Well, I guess I've been a Yamaha rider for many number of years, and I actually started out Supermoto racing with Yamaha, and this year they wanted to put together a really good program. So, Keith had contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do it, and he told me what kind of program they were going to be running, and with Chuck Graves running the team and Dunlop sponsoring us, I knew that it was going to be a really first-class effort.
We're going to be in this for the long run. That's the one game plan I can tell you. But, we're excited to be here this year, and we'll just take it one step at a time.
It's a bummer living Henry. He's a really good guy, and he's great for the team and everything. But on the other hand, it's great for the sport that Yamaha stepped in and has a factory team here, and KTM, Suzuki, and Honda. Man, it's good. The sport's going where I want it to go.
All eyes may be on the American veterans Henry and Ward, but there are a couple of foreign contenders that may pose quite a challenge. One is French rider Terry Vanderbosch, the world Supermoto champ, and his times came in very, very fast. The second is Jürgen Kunzel from Germany. Now, he's never won an AMA Supermoto, but last year had 5 podium finishes and came in second overall. Sounds like a threat to me, even more so now that the weather's moved in and the rain tires are going on those European bikes.
I'm more used to the rain compared to the US rider, but I prefer to ride on the dry. It's better, it's more fun, and also for the spectators and for the team.
I work on my starts, also on my physical training for the race, and so we work on the bike, and I think we have a good combination then, and it looks really good for the race then.
Now, I've been waiting for this moment since last year. Great 04 season. We expect the same thing out of 05 from the crew, but you see the rain coming down is definitely going to be a problem, and that means the tires have to be different.
The latest and greatest rain tires that we have is this tire that we call the radial cut, and you can see it looks much different, and you're not even sure why it would work in the rain, but this is actually the best pattern.
and this is the matching rear here. And this is more of a traditional rain tire that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but still has a good place in Supermoto because of all the different lines to help you get traction in case it does get wet or in the dirt if it gets a little slippery in the dirt.
Dunlop Tires, Brock Glover with a 411 on the tire setup. Elkhart Lake, this is a road race course. We're seeing plenty of road action here, but the dirt we see in Supermoto.
Right, you see how fast the start is leading into that little hard right and left, but the weather could change this layout right now. That's the layout they were planning on, but it could change.
You see that they're putting on some rain tires. We'll have more from AMA Supermoto when we return to Wisconsin. The 2005 AMA Supermoto Championship is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. And by Yamaha, now celebrating 50 years as the world's motorsports leader. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're just outside of the typical road race course on a karting track. Today it's Supermoto. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, and there's a Supermoto machine of Jeff Ward. It started out as the CRF 450, but it didn't stay that way for long.
Well, you see the biggest change is those knobby tires and the front brake. Those knobby tires obviously don't work very well out here on the pavement. Replaced by the slicks, a smaller tire in the front, that huge front disc brake. Most of the braking done on the front. The back still stays the same. The hand guards added in case you go down.
Look at the size of the brake rotor here. I mean, the dramatic difference also, the rim size and the tire size. A lot of weight on the front of that bike now. A lot of steering, like centrifugal force that you don't deal with on a motocross bike.
Yeah, all the weight transfers over to the front when you get under the braking. And the back wheel here, the brake there is just a rudder.
Well, the weather's starting to move in. It looks like it's raining a little bit harder right now. Let's go down to Rebecca Staub. I believe she has more on the outcome. I'm hearing maybe a track change.
As Super Pole is winding down, the sky around us has let loose. Now, this could be a really interesting twist to the AMA Supermoto today, perhaps giving the European riders a bit of an edge as they're more used to riding in inclement weather than the American counterparts. We also found out that part of the track has been modified due to the rain. They've closed the dirt portion of the track, and the Parts Unlimited Urban Cross is off the agenda as well. So this is going to be one exciting race with a factor that we weren't expecting. So back to you guys.
Thanks, Rebecca. As we take a look at our lineup, Doug Henry, Kunzel, Ward, Van and Bosch. I mean, I've been waiting. It's your first year to call Supermoto, and there's so many big names like David Boblou, Kurt Nickel, who you raced with. I mean, there's a lot of big names in AMA Supermoto now, and you're going to be in for a surprise, David Bailey.
Well, you know what I like about it is that, Kurt Nickel's been racing forever, and he's still able to come out here and be competitive. I'm just kind of thinking, man, get me a bike.
He's the Supermoto Unlimited champion, knocked off Jürgen Kunzel at the last stop last year in Las Vegas, right behind Bally's, but you see the Urban Cross section. A diamond plate and road slick tires do not really hook up very well, so in the interest of safety,
it's slippery enough, but that would be just complete ice. And they got it covered up, and if the weather lifts later, I think we'll be able to add it in.
So a 16-lap race now is 14. You're looking at the front runners right there. Doug Henry on the Graves Yamaha, factory Yamaha now in effect. Mark Burkhart we'll see in the Supermoto lights a little bit later. There's the front row. Terry Van den Bosch, the 03 world champion, took time off for road racing, said I'm back to Supermoto, and he's making his presence in the USA.
Look at the difference in front tires right there.
Yeah, you see it on the inside. Van den Bosch with it looks like maybe a MotoGP tire in the 125 class, and with a great start. It's all about that rear tire hooking up right there, and he got a good start.
First turn's got to be sketchy because the conditions are so much different than what they're used to. You come in hot with a great start, but you can see they came in there really careful. You don't want to find out it's too really slick and ruin your race.
Terry Van den Bosch leading this in second spot. Doug Henry, factory Yamaha. Henry had a tough start. He had a good start to the season last year, then a mechanical failure at the first stop at Copper Mountain. Really may have cost him the championship that one race, and then again he stalled it at Tennessee. But Henry and Ward were definitely the two top favorites. So right now, Van den Bosch saying adios.
Well, the start means so much in a race like this, and everybody's being so cautious back there with Doug Henry and the riders behind him. It's allowing Van den Bosch to pull away. Jeff Ward not getting off to a very good start. He picked up a couple of guys for a little chicane back there, a couple of guys going through the grass, and when you carry that stuff back onto the asphalt, I wonder if it's a bit more slick. So this first couple of laps, the riders just learning the track and finding out how much they can push the bike and what the tires are going to do.
Jürgen Kunzel in third. You see David Boblou trying to get by both riders on the outside. Boblou, number 23, out of France, doing good, but just running in there a little bit too hard, and now taking over position. Kunzel went for the front tire of Henry. Kunzel up into second. So 2 European riders, 3 European riders in the top 3 positions now. When it started raining, I told you earlier, I think this suits the European style of riding. They're used to faster, wide-open courses, road race courses, if you will, where the Americans are better at the jumps and tighter stuff.
Yeah, I think, there's no question that Doug Henry and Jeff Ward, they know how to race in the rain, but when it's raining on dirt.
With knobbies.
It's way different out here on the street. So you're right. They can deal with conditions like this, but not on asphalt. Not as well as these Europeans who've done it a lot more.
And they have to have some extreme weather for them to call off a Supermoto race, like we had at Irwindale, or not Irwindale, but Big Daddy's Speedway in South Boston a couple of years ago. They had to call it off for about 1.5 days, but here, general rain's no problem. They can throw on the rain gear and take it out. But when you're talking about flood conditions, standing water, then it gets a little more difficult. But you see, they're negotiating pretty darn fast. I don't even know if we can really relate this speed on TV to just how fast they're going.
Now Henry coming through that section again where he got past the last lap, just left the door open a little bit too cautious, and lost 2 positions. And if he can ever get these guys back, by the time he does, if he could, I think Vandenbosch would be gone. Jeff Ward still unable to make up any ground to tail into this freight train battle.
And that's surprising to me, too. You see the 11 of Wardy's teammate, Chris Fillmore, in the mix there, too. The young gun going to be wearing our onboard camera a little bit later. But look at the inside lines, already starting to block some of those inside lines. And is it more difficult, you think, with it being wet, or do you think it might be, the great equalizer like it is in motocross? We can see the cream rise to the top.
Well, I think, when it's dry conditions, you get a good line. The track develops a nice spot where the dust gets kind of cleaned off, and you have a groove, so it becomes perhaps a bit more difficult to pass. In the rain, these guys having a good battle right here. In the rain like this, it's pretty much even. You can go anywhere you want. You can drift off your line a little bit and still hook up.
There's Ron Heben, heard that name a time or two in motocross, now in charge of the Supermoto product. His boss, Kurt Nickel, actually out there on the track.
See Wardy back there just going, how am I going to get around these guys? He's still trying to learn, figure out where he can hook up, see if the track's going to come to him. And something you're not really thinking about too much right now. We're looking at the guys and what they're negotiating with. But the hardest part is just trying to see. I mean, we go to some of the cameras and it's a bit fogged up, hard to see. And, that's all that water spray coming up off these guys. Wardy following this whole pack. It must be about impossible for him to see what he's doing.
And he was behind Kurt Nickel, too. Nickel, known to be a wide rider, a very fast rider, and it's hard. When you have that one fast guy that's really near your speed, he might have got a bad start, too, and now it's really hard to make up ground on the group in front of you. Everybody gets bunched up like you're seeing right there. Looks like Doug Henry kind of holding up the guys just a little bit.
They already got passed twice, not going to let it happen again.
Chris Fillmore spins around trying to make a pass to the outside. Yellow flag is out. What happened here?
I thought he might have got bumped a little bit. Looked like he just slid out on his own.
Snapdragon, maybe a little bit too much throttle. Now we're watching that front pack as we come into this right-hand turn one more time. Wisconsin. Oh, and Doug Henry shoots off the outside, his high sides, all by his lonesome.
Obviously he's okay. He's running to his motorcycle, but that's going to mess him up for the finish. He can't get back into this battle. And more contact.
Oh, and David Bofflew for a pass on the outside, and he goes down. So 2 of our front runners go down in only 2 turns. Look at the 23.
Kunzel, he's going to give him a shoulder right here. And see the front wheel turn? As soon as the front wheel turned, that was it. He didn't wash out until they made contact. Then he went over the rumble strip, and that just finished him off.
My buddy Denny Stevenson calls it the Thunder Elbow. That was definitely the Thunder Elbow right there. Chris Fillmore, man, he's just ready for this race to be over with. He's having to pick it up for the second time. Jeff Ward having some difficulties, but he's working his way up. 7 laps down, 7 more to go, and it's KTM 1, 2, and 3. Welcome back for more AMA Supermoto from Elkhart Lake. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, and you're looking at Benny Carlson out of Wisconsin. He's in second place right now. We're just way through the field. This is the hometown product. This is his home track. And doing pretty good behind a former world champion right now, and Terry Vandenbosch and Jürgen Kunzel just behind him.
Yeah, I think it's starting to come down hard now. That's changing things a little bit. Just when they started getting things wired, we got used to the whole idea of what it's like to see and the spray coming off the bikes in front of you. The sky let loose again. These puddles are forming here and there. And, you think, that's going to be slick, and you find out that you actually hook up pretty good. So the rider that trusts the tires the best is going to have the best lap time.
Benny Carlson He earned 5 top 5 Supermoto finishes in 2004. He's currently in second spot, but trying to get by or catch up to Terry Vandenbosch. But he's really the future of American Supermoto. That kid's good on that HMC KTM team.
It looked like on the start, when we pointed out his front tire was the one that had the cuts in it, try to drain out the water and get a little bit more bite. I think that's working in his favor right now with the rain starting to fall a little bit heavy.
Van Bosch comes over here from France, the 101. And you see him downshift there, and you wouldn't see that normally on a motocross bike quite the way that they do. I mean, just jamming gears like that. That slipper clutch really helps all the bikes out there. Everybody runs it pretty much. And it kind of enables the back end to stay hooked up to the asphalt a little bit.
Yeah, I think he would probably adjust when you downshift in these conditions. As soon as it gets more slick, if you downshift too soon, you're going to get a little bit more, it's probably going to slide a bit more. So, you know, the finesse really starts to come into play here. And Vandenbosch, he looks great. There's nobody even close to him.
Yeah, he's checking out. You see him coming through those water puddles. I mean, a lot of spray from the front tire. You talk about vision. Is it a premium right now? You can see our lenses fogging up on the cameras ever so slightly. It's things that these guys have to deal with. I mean, they have tear-offs, everything out there. Not used to that. So a lot of times in Supermoto, having to pull a tear off, you know, and have water get in between, you know, it's just nasty.
Even though he's winning right now, he's probably like, man, this is not fun. Why does the first race have to be raining? But, you know, he'll be happy that he's winning it, but it's not very much fun to be out there. It'd be fun if they had the dirt section. That might get interesting. I'm sure Ward and Henry are going, why? Just throw that in. We can beat these guys if they have some dirt.
10-second lead right there. And Doug Henry goes down and trying to refire the bike. The Graves Motorsports rider was in second place early on. And we'll have to see where he finishes in this one. Man, what a tough time for Doug Henry starting off this year, much like last year, except not with the mechanical failure.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes on his own, looks like. And, you know, but the format changed this year where they actually have 2 main events. I like that. It's a little bit better for the spectators, and, you know, who knows what's going to happen with the weather. It'd be nice to see one that's not quite as wet as this.
Well, it's supposed to clear up. Hopefully that will be the case. And it is a lot like AMA Motocross you watch here on OLN, that you have 2 motos, but we're not looking for an overall champion. There's no combined, you know, score. It is 2 separate full-on races that Terry Vandenbosch is trying to show his European dominance here in the U.S. His first race here on the AMA Supermoto circuit, and he's starting off in a big way. Terry Vandenbosch takes the checker flag, and we'll hear from our victor when we return to Wisconsin. Our first final, the 05 Supermoto season, is in the books, and it's Terry Vandenbosch with the victory here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Benny Carlson, good job by him, finishes up on top of the podium. As we take a look at the finishing results, Jurgen Kunzel in 3rd, Jeff Ward in 4th, Doug Henry all the way back down there in 10th, a couple of get-offs.
Yeah, that's actually amazing that he was still able to finish in the top 10, but a big disappointment, I'm sure, for the Yamaha effort.
Tough time for Chris Fillmore as well. Let's go down to Rebecca Staub and our podium.
Congratulations. The day started sunny, turned rainy. We had American champions. Now we have a European champion. You did a really good show out there, commanding lead and a victorious win.
Yeah, it's amazing, but it's a little bit surprising. I was expecting, you know, hot conditions here and dry conditions, but it's like this. It's the same for everybody, but for sure in Europe we are more used to these conditions. But I did a good start, and then I tried to stay on 2 wheels, you know, and it's quite slippery on some part of the track because of the rubber. But I'm very happy to win. I want to thank KTM, all the team, Michelin. The tires was perfect, and now I'm waiting for the second final.
Now the other division, Supermoto Lights, you see Yamaha's other factory rider, Mark Burkhardt. This kid's fast out of Pickering, Ohio. Pickerington, the home of the AMA. He's a moto guy, but he's showing you he's fast in Supermoto as well. But it's the first time we've seen a green machine really in Supermoto in a while.
Well, I like the fact that they added this class. A little mistake right there. I think he hit the rumble strip. The front end just went away from him. But it's great to have this class and more people can participate in this.
414 of Brandon Curry went down. He dropped all the way back to 12. Let's say he charged on a little bit better than that. But the 747, I want you to watch this. Matt Pursley gets by, rider number 80. Watch his pass, and watch how disappointed the 747 gets. Oh, that is wrong.
Last turn. Oh, came in tight, drifted wide, and just opened the door.
As you see the leaderboard, Brandon Curry crashes, picks it back up, and finishes 5th.
Graves, Yamaha, Thor, Scott, Dunlop, everybody made this deal come together. and I appreciate it a lot. I've worked for 2 years trying to get something like this, and I finally got it, and now I'm going to make everybody happy.
In the Supermoto Unlimited class, we saw this class last year won by Kurt Nickel, the factory leader over KTM, but David Bafaluk, we saw him go down in our first final of the AMA Supermoto, but he had things going well in Supermoto Unlimited.
You know, when you look behind him and in his shots, it kind of looks like he's out there on the track all by himself. Yeah, he just had that big of a lead. That's got things dialed in.
David Bafaluk will go on to win this thing, but a good race between Husqvarna pilots Leonardo Bagnes, number 55, Troy Herfoss, both riding for the GP Husky team, but this race was all Bafaluk.
Finishes on one wheel. I would like to ride all the classes I could. The more track time you get, the better you get.
Leonardo Bagnes got by Daryl Atkins, the New Zealander, at the end of the race, and Luke Turlington rounding out the top 5. Now the Honda Red Riders Junior Supermoto, a great time for these young kids. I mean, they're on equally prepared machinery, those CRF 150s, and it's just a great time. Travis just motos on with a moto win.
You know, in a lot of sports, it's pretty radical at the top. You're either doing it or you're not. This gives you a chance to sort of stepping stone your way up into the big time.
And we did have a red flag during the race due to a crash. Natasha Washik, she is all right. And Travis Bracetto, again, all riders on the Honda CRF 150s. Beach, Hansen ran out the top 3. I'm sure we'll hear that name Bracetto in the near future. Well, the track is definitely changing, and I believe Rebecca has more on a, they're talking about maybe holding this thing.
We started the day in a raincoat, and now everybody's pulling out their sunglasses. It's a tough call. The AMA is not going to hold the race. The track is half wet, half dry. They're going to make the racers go ahead and do the 16 laps. We've seen some of the guys keep their rain tires on. Some of them put their slicks on. It's going to be a gamble to see what happens out here, to see which choice is the best for the tires, the slicks or the rain tires.
Oh, the dilemmas of Supermoto. Now we see the course the way it was in the first final of the day, but it's a little different now, DB.
Right there in the middle, they have that little kink, makes a hard left into the urban section, 2 jumps, a small plateau leading into a bigger one. You got it figured out the best. We only got 1 lap to look at it.
Parts Unlimited Urban Cross will be another factor for sure, but another factor in this is Terry Vandenbosch gets another hole shot, and they were side by side. Why is he getting that much better at jump?
Wardy taking off right there in the black shirt, big number 1 on the back. He shoved a bunch of guys out of the way, having to go through the grass, so not a good start for him, but he stayed out of that mess.
Giving him the prop off there. Chris Fillmore on board camera. Vandenbosch, why is he getting that good of a jump both times we see on the starts?
He wants the start. He's just got things dialed in a little bit better.
It's not even close, though, Dave.
Yeah, sometimes people that have the intention and get that start and lead laps, you just find that the start's not random. If you want it, you get it. He wants it the most.
Vandenbosch leading Doug Henry. Henry now hopefully trying to get a little redemption from that 10th place in the first final. There's Jeff Ward, rider number 1, the 47 coming through. Tebow. Grace Motorsports, a factory Yamaha effort, does not start off in a big way, although we did see Mark Burkhart winning the light competition early.
Look how much more aggressive these guys are attacking the track. The track's going to come around during the course of 16 laps. It's going to get even better. The riders are still going over some damp spots in the concrete, on the asphalt rather, and this time driving a little bit harder, starting to close that gap. Henry's starting to reel in on Vandenbosch just a little bit. In the first lap, going over this section right here, a little concerned about the front end washing out as you make the turn to go up that plateau, but there's plenty of bite there, and the track is getting better and better. These guys are trying to stay out of those wet spots there a little bit.
You see our onboard camera having a difficult time trying to get by the 28 of Troy Herfoss, but the rain tires versus the slicks. I mean, anytime you're taking away that contact pass, you're cutting into that slick tire, it's got to be a little bit more difficult on the nice, dry, smooth asphalt.
Yeah, but, I think it's not dry all the way around, so it's just a gamble, whether it's going to dry out all the way or not. As soon as you drift off your line out into the wet stuff, then that tire is going to hook up a little bit better. So, if you're in traffic, it probably works well, but if you're out front like Vandenbosch, I think you'd want the full slick.
Jeff Ward, Team Troy Lee Designs, that CRF 450 taking the outside line, trying to get by there. No question, last year, Henry and Ward, the fastest on that Parts Unlimited Urban Cross section. I hope everybody else from Europe, I hope the other riders kind of paid attention to our OLM broadcast because they were faster. They're doing stuff different. They were doing the Wardy scrub instead of the Bubba scrub again. They were doing, the Henry scrub, keeping it low. And little bit, you know, a tenth here or there really can make a big difference over the whole race.
That's what this is all about, is tenths. You know, no one's going out there and like Carmichael does in motocross and beating people by 2 or 3 seconds a lap. It's tenths. You know, it's little tiny bits. And I guarantee the Europeans have decided, okay, well, where are we weak? The jumps, all right, let's fix that. And, I don't see them losing time there now at all. And Ward has had a run at third place over that section a couple of times, not been able to get it done. Last year, I think it would have been a different story.
We're on board with Chris Fillmore. See the look over. And the pass by Fillmore. Good job there by the young pilot on the Troy Lee Designs Honda team. Now starting to pick off. But that's what it's like going over that urban crossing. You don't want a flat lane. Where motocross, you can do it. These Supermoto bikes, they're a little heavier. The wheels are heavier. They can't take the punishment landing on the asphalt on the flats if you overjump.
Yeah, you need to catch the downside. And motocross, of course, you can jump clear out there on the flat. It's faster, but much too hard of a landing in racing like this. If that was a finish line jump, I'd air it out and flat land it, whatever it takes. But I don't think it'd be too tough on these tires. They air it up so much more that it's just way more rigid.
Doug Henry won his first championship, a former motocross champion back in 1993, still looking for his first Supermoto championship. Jeff Ward, his former teammate, on the other hand, won his first motocross championship in '84, and he won last year here in the Supermoto class, defending champion.
Looks like we're going to be able to make a pass right here. Fillmore moving up one more spot.
Chris Fillmore not with the best start, but he's making the most of it. One right-hand turn, and we're going to complete one more lap. Terry Vandenbosch leads Doug Henry, Jürgen Kunzel, but Jeff Ward not too far behind. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and you're looking at Doug Henry in second place with Jürgen Kunzel in his back pocket. Kunzel's teammate on the factory Red Bull KTM just in front, Terry Vandenbosch, who won our first final today in a great battle for second place between factory Yamaha and factory KTM.
Yeah, look at the body English, the difference between Henry and Kunzel. Henry, he looks like he's attacking things a little bit more, and Kunzel behind him just looks so casual. You know, it looks like, this is easy. He just kind of tilts his head into the corner, riding around the track like it's a Sunday ride, and I think that's the question. I think he's just a little bit more confident. It's just his style, where Henry's got a little bit more of that motocross thing where you tend to get forward and look like you mean business.
Yeah.
And Kunzel, he's had a couple of looks at Henry, but Doug's just not going to leave the door open. He made his mistakes in the first race, and he's not going to do it again.
I think that's the thing with Jürgen Kunzel after seeing the past few years. I mean, he's so smooth. Chris Fillmore again on board trying to pick off another rider here, and Fillmore is working his way up. Last year had a disappointing season, I'm sure, for him after such success his first season in Supermoto, but he's showing now how to get by the 23 at David Boffaloop just in front. Hey, perfect line there, DB. Look at that.
It looked like it, but he still doesn't quite have it. I would go right around the outside right here. He blew it.
If he
got a little too wide right there.
And didn't have much for him. Boffaloop was trying to, say, hey, I can run you in the weeds if you want me to, but he gave him a left.
Blew the entrance. He got sideways, locked it up.
He had the line, though. I mean, he could have done it, didn't want to press the matter. Maybe it's a smart move. I mean, he's not even 20 years old.
You're looking at right now is what Kunzel's looking at behind Henry. You know, I mean, where are you supposed to get a guy until you force him into a mistake? But Henry is too solid to make a mistake like that.
Chris Fillmore now into 7th spot on that Troy Lee Designs Honda. Coming across, taking the checker flag one more time. Look at the speeds.
Track's coming around, too. These guys are charging harder and harder. As laps wind down, they're getting more aggressive, and this waiting game is going to end. Somebody's going to start forcing the issue.
And Jürgen Kunzel not too far behind Henry. Henry not too far behind Vandenbosch. Sticks a nose in there and says, hey, I'm here.
He's got a spot right there. He's got a few places on the track. It looks like he might be able to get the job done and make a pass, and you just got to be careful. If he does something, opens the door, he's going to get past.
Kurt Nickel and Herfoss. And Herfoss hits him from behind. Oh, my goodness. And the riders behind don't even see it coming. Watch out.
That was bad.
Kurt Nickel had...
Okay, I don't know how.
Kurt Nickel had no idea what just happened. I didn't even see that coming. Troy Herfoss just clipped the back tire of Kurt Nickel. Man,
Kurt's probably like, what do I do? Watch, he just gets hit. Boom, pushes him sideways and watch Kurt's left foot. Bam, on that metal plate.
I don't know how he did not break the ankle. He got up and started running. Troy Herfoss.
His head hit hard. He finally slammed. He slammed to the asphalt, so.
Watch this. Look behind. Watch Herfoss just barely clip. It's the difference between jumping forward and jumping up a little bit and hitting the eject button is Herfoss. I don't know, the body, the spine, the knees.
He was pretty lucky. He transitioned when he landed onto the downside of that ramp and slid a touch. And That saved him. He's going, I want to race, but I don't want to run out there in front of anybody. That's a blind spot. Lucky that rider directly behind that crash was able to avoid that and go between everyone.
GP Husqvarna of Herfoss will have to hope for better days. Now. Yeah, but this lead, man, I still can't get over that crash. That's the worst crash I've ever seen in AMA Supermoto over that urban cross. And look at this.
Here, Robbie, if Henry's going to try anything cute, he's got to really be careful he doesn't open the door for Kunzel back there. Now Wardy's joined the picture. So the pace that Van de Bosch had early isn't fast enough. These guys are bunching up. He can really feel this pressure. If he makes a tiny mistake,
right there,
it's over. Henry's already starting to force the issue.
I thought it was the case. I mean, he took that fork guard out there. Henry's saying, I'm here, I'm knocking on the door. He's waiting for a mistake. Henry, now they're coming into lap traffic. Look at all the lap traffic we have in front of these riders. Who's going to pick them off the best?
Oh, it looked like he had a run at Henry there. So it looks to me like Henry goes into the corners a little bit harder, and the KTM riders are exiting a little bit faster. See how he's able to stay right on him? Usually when you come out of a corner, that gap opens back up, and he's staying tight, creating an opportunity for himself. And Wardy's back there learning all this. Going, all right, I see some stuff.
This has to help Jeff Ward back in fourth spot to number 1, the defending national champion, because Kunzel takes maybe that not the best line to get by Henry. Wardy can now take over, occupy that position.
Look at Henry, the way he I like the way he sets up for his right-handers. He's fast coming off that jump, and he's fast in the corner before the finish. Watch how far he lays it over. Feet up, slide. And he's matching the pace of Van de Bosch going into those corners, but making that pass is touchy. He can get close, but making it happen, I don't know. I think Kunzel's going to have to make a mistake somewhere.
More and more lap complete. Van de Bosch sporting the rain tires. Several riders chose the slicks. Good job by the lap traffic there, pulling over. Henry dropped back just a little bit. Still Kunzel and Jeff Ward not too far behind, but look at this gap between 4th and 5th place.
This is amazing. Like, if you make a tiny little mistake and the gap opens up so big.
Alexander Thibault, the rider that was in 5th, a long distance behind. This is, man, let's get down to our waiting moments, the final laps here. Jeff Ward not wanting to settle for 4th place for sure. And Kunzel not wanting to settle for 3rd, and thus Henry not in 2nd. Terry Van de Bosch has led every single lap of both of our finals here. He won the first one. He's leading the second one.
You know, if he had Kunzel behind him or Ward behind him, I'd say, you know what, I'll lay down a lot of money right now. Van de Bosch can win this thing, but it's Henry.
I don't know.
It's Henry. That guy, he'll crash or he'll win.
I've seen Jeff Ward too many times do it. He did it on Kunzel before. I think Wardy's the more intimidating, not Henry. Henry's always got that smile on his face. Too nice.
Wardy's more reserved, though. He's a little bit more patient. I think Henry, at a certain point, he might just snap and just back it in.
Is this the same Doug Henry I know for motocross? The patient, smiling, calm guy?
He's not patient when it gets in a situation like this, when he can smell the wind. He'll go a little bit crazier than Jeff Ward.
The hungry rider from Torrington, Connecticut. Doug Henry is all over the 101. Terry Van de Bosch, the 03 world champion supermoto racer, and again bumps him. He's hit him twice at least now.
He's letting him know. And if I was Van de Bosch, I'd be nervous right now, really nervous.
He doesn't know what to expect from Doug Henry.
Well, it just, you know, when he's getting the lappers, it's catch-22. Do I go wide around these guys, leave the door open, or do I go tight, just follow and let them try to create a line? It's difficult. He's got to make every perfect choice right now, or he's going to lose.
I'll tell you another guy not to count out, Jürgen Kunzel back there in 3rd. He's looking for redemption. He lost a couple of championships last year that he thought he should win. Chris Fillmore will take one more look on board the Troy Lee Designs Honda Pilot. He's currently up into 7th, a long ways back from our top 4, but that's what it looks like on the course.
Too, it's a little bit difficult to judge, you know, your line in the pavement with the glare now.
And the shiny spots are the wet spots out there, but you're seeing pretty much dry track throughout. And look at the high speed. Great onboard camera shots there. The rumble strips, though, no doubt we saw with Bob Loop earlier, they are slippery, DB.
Now, if you hit those, you better already be pretty much straightened up and ready for the straightaway, because if you're turning, that stuff is slick. It throws you sideways and you ruin your drive.
Everyone on their respective 450 machinery. This is AMA Supermoto, and that's the Parts Unlimited Urban Cross, something we do here in America that they really don't do in other parts of the world. Our final few laps here at AMA Supermoto, final number 2, and we'll see if Terry Van de Bosch can hold on. It's a great day for Supermoto. If you're Terry Vandenbosch, he's out in front of this final race of the 450s, the AMA Supermoto class, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm Robbie Floyd with David Bailey, Rebecca Staub. Down there trackside, you're looking at Chris Fillmore's onboard camera. He's worked his way into 7th, and I really don't see too many positions he can make up. He's got Benny Carlson a ways in front of him trying to get by.
Good lines, though. You see how he's always outside, inside. He's trying to make something happen.
Trying to get by Clay Hohenshaw, a lap rider, but this race for 4th, man, this is what we expected right here. When we hear Vandenbosch Kunzel, and he's going to the inside, it's his favorite part of the track, or we've seen it in years past. Is it a pass? No. Oh, he's saying hello. You hear the door?
Here's what I think's happening. Doug is pushing him through that section. He bumped him already once at the end, so now when Vandenbosch enters that urban section, he's thinking, man, I got to hit this faster, and he got a little sideways right there and almost created an opportunity for Doug.
Like I said earlier, Wardy and Henry have been faster on that urban cross section. I think that could be a very good possibility of where he could make a pass or run in on the inside. You see in the tuck there is Vandenbosch trying to get a little bit less drag, less wind resistance coming down that straightaway.
Henry's getting it figured out. You know what? It looked like Vandenbosch had the track really wired early on. Now it looks to me like Ward and Kunzel are really starting to get it wired towards the later stages of the race. That could be a tire issue. I'm not sure what it is, but the fact is these guys are close. Look at Henry. He's going to take a look down the inside. He's going to keep doing it and force Vandenbosch to be perfect.
And there he goes again on the inside, and another rub. Henry is rubbing it in there. Now Kunzel gets by. Kunzel has a half a bike length on Doug Henry, and Henry does not back down.
Wardy's back in there licking his chops going, all right, you guys messed up. I can go from 4th to 2nd.
Look at this great run in. Doug Henry lands perfectly on the downside and shoots forward where Vandenbosch a little bit too far.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I don't know if Wardy is quite that aggressive and going there and bump like that.
Oh, that was close.
Henry will. Vandenbosch looking back like, hey, come on, man. Quit running into me. But you know what? This is for the win. Henry's not going to back down. He'll cut across the grass, bump. He's a little bit more aggressive, I guess. I mean, I could get other adjectives in there.
Throw it, wingnut. Is that one?
I think he'll just take a bigger risk than Jeff Ward will. Put it that way.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. There's Jürgen Kunzel downshift. Look like he grabbed 3 gears right there, downshifted. There's this section he was faster. He's much farther behind this time. He's not going to be able to do it this one. Now you see Wardy. Look at Jeff Ward trying to get by Kunzel on the outside.
Doug is fast through those jumps. I like the way on the downside how he pumps the bike and he gets a little bit more drive off the backside.
Race for the lead, the final lap here in the AMA Supermoto, and Henry goes to the inside, takes out the Alpine Star boots of Terry Vandenbosch on the final lap. What a race! I cannot believe that on the road race section.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't want Doug behind me. You never know what he's going to do.
Quite the prognosticator, David Bailey, and only a couple of turns left. The final lap, and Doug Henry takes his first victory of 05. Chris Fillmore comes across a top 10 position.
That makes up for the first race where he went down a couple of times, but he's lucky he didn't get hurt. Look at Doug just set him up. He pushed him in there. He pushed him so hard, Vandenbosch couldn't hold it tight. And watch Doug lay it over. Man, he took a chance right here.
He stayed on the throttle much longer.
He was either going down or he was going into the lead, one or the other, and it was the latter. Way to go, Doug.
A lesson in Supermoto passing right there, David Bailey. I mean, you saw the forks dive of Vandenbosch, and Henry was still upright.
He really trusted those tires. He got all the way over. He was so far on the side. Well, I think he was on the rim, but the contact actually helped keep him up. Wardy tried everything, but there's just no room back there. Everyone's taking the best line. But Doug worked for that one, man. He did. He played it perfect.
Listen to the crowd. Think Doug Henry has any fans wherever he goes? No. Everybody loves Doug. I don't know anybody that dislikes Doug Henry.
They could make a movie about this guy. You know, he's had a roller coaster ride of a career.
Former 125 motocross champion, and look at the drive that Henry got throughout on the downside. I thought this is where he was going to pass it. He stuck a nose in there several times.
I did too. It surprised me a little bit with that last turn, but it was still the same kind of thing. He was coming into those right-handers, laid over so far, feet up. But,
look at the ground. Look at the ground he made up.
This last corner really played into his style.
That was a two-wheel drift.
That was just a kiss. You know, Vandenbosch can't be upset with that.
I don't want you kissing me if that was a kiss. Well, I don't want you kissing me anyway. But that was no kiss. That was a two-wheel drift at about 45, 50 miles an hour.
Trust me, okay.
And his lovely wife there congratulating him, Stacy. Another victory. His first was in Irwindale 2 years ago. Now the first factory Yamaha win. Graves Yamaha taking the win. Doug Henry, the familiar number 19, is back on top of Supermoto. When we come back, we'll hear from the smiling man from Connecticut. The 2005 AMA Supermoto Championships have been brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. And by Yamaha, now celebrating 50 years as the world's motorsports leader. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake. There is Doug Henry taking the victory, number 19. And he did it in a big way. He didn't get the whole shot. He wasn't out in front of Terry Vanden Bosch. He passed Terry Vanden Bosch. As we look at the results, Henry, Vanden Bosch, and Kunzel top 3. Wardy not too far behind.
A little bit surprised Jeff didn't do better today, but I think the start really hurt him, especially in the first race. And what a turnaround for Doug Henry, cartwheeling in that first race, going down again, and coming back to win the final.
Let's go down to Rebecca and Jürgen Kunzel.
I give really my best that I can pass this guy, but with one line it was really dry. And when you come a little bit out, then it was too slippery. And so I hope that the two guys here make a mistake, then that I can pass this, but no chance. And so for me, third position, it's good. I was in the race, and I think it's also good for the championship. Then I don't lose a lot of points then, and then we see for the next race.
Yeah, watch out for Jürgen Kunzel. He's in for the long haul. Vanden Bosch, the points leader, is 2 finals now in our format. Gives him 47 points. A perfect score would be 50. Kunzel, Henry, Carlson, Jeff Ward all the way back there in 5th. Let's go back down to the victory podium.
Yeah, it was difficult because I did a wrong tire choice. I started with a rain tire and the track was dry, so it's difficult to decide. But I had a good start, but I knew it will be difficult to keep in, to stay in front because of this tire, and the last couple of laps was very difficult, and Doug was pushing a lot, and he passed me in the last lap, but I'm not so disappointed because I did my best, and the last few laps was very difficult. So 1-2 overall is not so bad for the first AMA races.
Good debut for Terry Vanden Bosch, but how about Doug Henry's aggressive charge here, Dave?
Yeah, he went in for the kill, that's for sure, and it turned out to just be a little love tap, but it's all it took for the win.
That was racing. Way to go from 10th in the first one to this first one. What happened at that very last corner there?
Well, Terry's front tire, I think he had a bad choice of front tires. So I knew, kind of when we started the race, the sun was coming out, and, I didn't have like a real sharp tint lens, for my Scott goggles. I put on a lighter tint, and I said, I may have made the wrong goggle lens choice, but I think the guys next to me had the wrong front tire choice, So I'm glad Dunlop hooked me up today for the second race here, and the tires just stuck really good, and they lasted the race. That's what I needed.
Looking down, you went ahead with the slicks, huh?
Yeah, Yamaha, this is, Graves' first year in Supermoto, and, they're putting together a strong team, and I think it's just going to keep building and get stronger and stronger.
How fun is that? Henry's talking about goggle selection. Vanden Bosch talking about his front tire. Man,
it's smart for Doug to look over and notice what the other guys are on so he can know where to apply the pressure.
Yeah, and you did see a full-on rain tire for Vanden Bosch, but it's all about making that right call. Let's go back down to Rebecca Staub. I believe she has the man who's in charge of this factory Yamaha project, Keith McCarty.
What a day. You grabbed 2 for 3 here. It's a big day for Yamaha. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really exciting. We're ecstatic. The team's been working very hard. As I told you, it kind of came together at the last minute here, and who could think that we would have this kind of results today? So we're very, very excited.
Nice to be a winner whether it rains or shines, huh?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to start testing in the rain. We didn't do so well in that one moto, but thankfully Doug wasn't hurt and everything, and the bike kept running and all that good stuff. But boy, he came back and showed them what was going on in moto number 2, so it's very exciting.
Difficult time in Moto 1, but he showed he was the fastest without question in Moto number 2. What do you think? Your first AMA Supermoto since you've raced it back in the 80s?
It took me a little while to warm up to it, but once the track got dry and the guys got aggressive and started bumping each other, coming down to the wire, it was good. I wish I was out there.
Some of the best talented riders, not only here in the U.S., but in the world, making their debuts here at AMA Supermoto, like Terry Vanden Bosch, getting the little love tap, as you call it, the 101.
Excellent balance. Using his hips right there to keep that bike from just going down.
And Doug Henry, the smile always on his face, coming back from so many broken bones. He comes back just as strong in Supermoto. Now he has Yamaha factory support behind him. He's in it for this championship as well. It'll be his first in Supermoto. Well, that's going to be it from Elkhart Lake. I'm Robbie Floyd for David Bailey and Rebecca Stopp. We hope to see you at our next stop here for Supermoto on OLN. Thanks for watching. We will see you at the next round.